PVC tubing, a sliding didgeridoo that's tunable to different drone frequencies. Well, I have come up with a strange project here. My sister about 2 years ago gave me a piece of a didgeridoo, the bell side, and here it is. Let me see. Here it is. Beautiful didgeridoo. It's Aboriginal with a alligator in front. Very hard wood, eucalyptus, I guess. And somebody had cut this didgeridoo off here. She found this at the swap meet, and she was thinking of me, so she got it for me. And I didn't know what to do with it until I finally decided to make a whole didgeridoo out of it again. See, over here on this side of the joint, I have an original Australian didgeridoo. I don't know if it's Aboriginal because the design on it is not quite Aboriginal but has Western influence. And it's also out of eucalyptus. They're both termite hollowed, but I never liked the sound coming out of this didgeridoo. It's a very small didgeridoo. It's kind of sounded teeny weeny to me. So I figured, why not join the two together, because at the tail end of this bell side and at the other end of this didgeridoo, they're about the same size. So I don't know if you can see it. I decided to make a vertical cut this way with a bandsaw. That's the same on the other side. And as much as possible, I made the cut in the middle of the didgeridoo, in the length of the lengthwise, and did the same thing with this part, and I made them together like that. They've been glued together for 2 days now, so it should be strong enough for me to take it apart. And then the idea is to shave this down so it's all even and flows together. So that's what I plan to do. And right now it's a very long didgeridoo. I'll stand back. I'm about 5'7", and this one is over me, so taller than me. So it should be very low drone. If I don't like the low drone, I can always start cutting it back till it hits the drone that I like. So let's take the clamps off. As you noticed, I have, before I glued it, I taped them up because, as in my previous videos, I said that when the glue spills on the wood, it might penetrate the wood, and then it's hard to stain. So it will always stain differently than the rest of it that's not exposed to the glue. So before I start working on finishing that joint, I wanted to show you what I did in my garage a bunch of years ago. So I can work on my didgeridoo, which is a messy affair, and at the same time not tick off my wife about making the garage dirty because she has her washing machine and all the other stuff in here. So let me show you that. Okay, there's her washing machine. So I put this rail up and bought this curtain at IKEA, and that protects the dust from this part of the garage. Goes all the way down to the floor. And I use these little clamps to tie the two halves together. So let me find a way out of here. So now we're going to the other side of the curtain. You see? Pretty neat. There you go. I'm about ready to work on the didgeridoo here. It's on my jig. And there it is. I just thought that might interest you. You might have the same problem. So both worlds, my wife and me with my hobbies, can live together. And of course, here's the open end of the garage. Well, here's my jig, and I ran my tool over it to shave off most of the wood and make this joint as flat as possible. I'm going to go over it with a rough bastard file and try to make it all nice and smooth. So now you see why I got those curtains, because the mess it makes, you know. So this way I just sweep it up in no time. Well, I did a lot of sanding and planing with my power planer, and this is the joint here. Pretty smooth now. Of course, things happen, like this knot in the wood that came out, and I had to plug that up because that's a tremendous leak. And as you can see, my power planer dug in over here for some reason, and I'm gonna have to fix that with wood putty, because to hide the differences between the wood here, I'm gonna have to paint it anyway. So I'm gonna smooth it out with wood putty, and I put a black band here around the joint. So I still have to sand all this down here to a certain point. I never liked this decoration with the flowers and all that. So I'm gonna have to figure out something. I might just sand it down to here and maybe keep that part and figure out what else I'm gonna decorate. And notice the didgeridoo. Every didgeridoo has a, when you put it on the ground, it finds its balance, and then the alligator here is on the side. So I'm gonna have to keep it in style, I'm gonna have to make another animal or this same type alligator on this side in this style, which is a real Aboriginal style. There's some writing here that came with this didgeridoo, and it says Balanda. Now, I was born in Indonesia, and due to the Dutch due to the fact that Indonesia used to be a Dutch territory or under the Queen of Holland. I speak Dutch. That's my mother tongue. So, but I also used to speak some Indonesian when I was young. And Belanda is definitely an Indonesian word. And this doesn't mean that this was made in Indonesia, because didgeridoos in Australia originated from the northern part of Australia, which not too far from the northern part, if you cross the ocean there, or the strait, I don't know what strait it's called, you get in Indonesia. So I'm sure there was a lot of Indonesian fishermen and trade going on between Indonesia and the northern coast of Australia. So Belanda is the Indonesian word for white. Now you would say, why would that be white? Maybe it's because of the light color of this didgeridoo. I don't know. But the Indonesian word for a Dutchman, which is a white person, is orang Belanda. So orang means a person, a human being. Belanda means white in Indonesian. Now the word Belanda is derived from the Dutch word blank. Blank, but Indonesians changed it into Belang Belanda. So that's just a little tidbit of information that I thought you might find interesting. Okay, so I ran my power planer over it, my power sander. There's my planer, there's my sander. And I have to plug up these holes. These joints are almost perfect in the most part, except here there's a hole and here's a crack here. I had to fill that up because everything has to be totally closed up. There's another hole there in that corner for my saw. You can't have any air leaks. That will tremendously affect the sound. So I'll use it. I'll use wood putty and wood glue. Oh, by the way, the wood glue I used on this is God. Let me see. Name escapes me. Tight Bond. There it is. Right there. I try to point at it. That one there. That one. Very good wood glue, and it's water proof, I think, or resistant. Well, my friends, I'm not gonna let you wait any longer to see the results of this didgeridoo. As you can see, there's the mouth end, and I decided to make the mouth end from that artificial clay that I talked about in another video instead of wood. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see it over here, I put very strong magic according to the Aboriginal people. You put glue in your hand and grab the bare wood, so your palm print appears in the bare wood when you stain it, kind of like a ghost, you know, grabbing it, because the glue penetrates the wood and it prevents the stain from going in. So I decided to keep this part bare And then some rings to make the transition to the second part, which contains the split, where one didgeridoo ends and is joined to the other. As you can see, it's impossible to see it. I decided to stay with Aboriginal style decoration because of the front end. The bell end has a Aboriginal alligator on it, and there it is. I'm very satisfied with it, and you heard the sound at the beginning of the video. It has a real low tone. Alright, so here is the alligator I made based on this side, the original decoration that came with this belt. And let me tell you, it wasn't easy to make this alligator in that style, because my hand is not very steady, and it's so hard to have a steady hand to make these lines with paint. But eventually I managed, and it's a very handsome looking didgeridoo. And here I put my serial number on there. It's a unique serial number. That means this is the 12th didgeridoo I made. X means in the year 2019, and it's in the tone B. There's the bell end. I've sealed. It's all termite hollowed on both didgeridoos, so I had to seal this on the inside with I used just varnish. So, and there is the name I go by, Xindrones. So it's a very handsome didgeridoo. I'm very satisfied with it. And like I say, it's hard to make this decoration because it takes a steady hand. So finally I decided, oh man, I need something added to my stand. So this is what I added, where, as you can see, you can secure this little, there. Now you have something to hold, to put your hand on and paint. So you might want to consider that too on your jig. So that's my jig, and very handsome, good sounding didgeridoo. It has the growl sound that I like. I discovered, you don't want to put too big a bell on your didgeridoos, because if you put a big bell on it, it's going to muffle the high tones and strengthen the low tones. Well, if that's what you're going for, then that's what you do. It also makes it louder, but I rather have a small bell, very tiny bell. See, I stick my fingers in there and it already narrows here. I leave the inside. The inside is very rough, the way the termites do it. And I think that adds to the quality of the sound, the rough interior. So I don't make my this one is termite hollowed, but the ones that I have to split, I don't make it smooth inside. You want to keep this the bore rough and kind of narrow all the way to the end where you come flare out a little bit. So to me that gives the best sound, where it is a very strong raspy sound, and that's what I like out of a didgeridoo. Okay, I'm going to play some more for the end. Don't forget to sign up if you like this video, and tell your friends about it if they're into it. Okay, so till next time.